Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather today. I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin, and this is a weather report. I'd like to talk about the weather health stresses for June 5th, 2026. We do keep additional graphics at tpatw.com. We also maintain a storefront on Amazon. Looking at the surface map for Friday, we do have high pressure dominating almost all of the country, although there is a little bit of low pressure trying to work its way into the Pacific Northwest. There is a little bubble low here about Michigan, and of course we have that frontal system that seems to linger forever across New Orleans to Miami. Note that we have unsettled weather up through Texas and up into the plains and trying to make its way toward the Great Lakes. Looking at our vitality index, or that measure of all of the individual weather elements that may have some impact on human health, and you'll see that really what we have is the flow of air just moving up the plains, and that seems to be the center of almost all of the real activity. Looking at pressure change for Friday, and we don't have a heck of a lot, just falling pressure, especially across eastern Washington and Oregon into Idaho. And then again, we mentioned that upper peninsula of Michigan and really the body of Michigan itself. Temperature changes. Not a lot of difference here on the temperature differential map, but we have warming temperatures, really warm temperatures, all the way from the southwest, building its way out of the plains across into the east, the Midwest, and even up in New England. So a rather warming period, but we can see sort of bubble warmth rising here in Iowa. Another bubble of warming air rising up here into Montana, picking up just a portion of Wyoming. Both areas may have some increased risk of migraine. Looking at the dew point temperature change, we really don't see a lot going on across the U.S. However, if we jump over to vapor pressure, it's far more concise, and we can see that the dew point temperature, or vapor pressure itself, will be rising everywhere from the plains across the east, very significantly here about New Orleans, but significantly also up here in Iowa toward the lakes. So increasing vapor pressure for the eastern half of the country. Looking to instability and where the shower and thundershower activity can be most intense, you'll see that once again it's really up the plains. And again, thank goodness, not a significant amount of triggering type activity, but it will be unstable. Looking at Friday's change in the availability of oxygen, again, we have not a widespread area of migraine stresses, but we do have some here in western Washington and Oregon, really up into Vancouver also. We have another bubble area of migraine risk here in western South Dakota, trying to touch the panhandle of Nebraska and then across northern Minnesota. We also have a bubble of migraine risk here just to the west of Dallas-Fort Worth in central Texas. We have a more significant bubble of migraine stress across Maine and making its way into New Brunswick. Looking at the asthma and arthritis stresses, you'll see we do have some of that across southern Idaho, especially across eastern Montana. Another rather significant area of asthma arthritis risk across eastern Nebraska and Iowa and through and into southern Minnesota and Wisconsin. And then lots of the south. I don't think that's a very significant risk, but it is a risk of asthma and arthritis, and rather unusual for Florida. And then, of course, here in the easternmost portions of Virginia, and then on up into New York. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated, and if you hurt, tell us where you are. Please do save and share.